Yeah, I'm probably going to do some yelling here in the first segment because we got to get straight on some facts about Jonathan Smith and recruiting at Michigan State in 2024. Yes, going on from our conversation about Kaden Strayhorn. And then, hey, 2025 linebacker commit Charles White. He joins the show for a great chat. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, Locked On College, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning in to Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white, 3 days a week in June and July, back to 5 days a week in August, September, and every other month after that. You know where to find us if there's something going on in East Lansing, which, yeah, even in the offseason, there's plenty going on. We talk about it here at Locked On Spartans. Also, send over your questions to lockedonspartans@gmail.com. Got a few mailbag episodes coming up in the near future, so send them on over there. All right. On today's show, I'm going to get pretty fired up in the first segment here, which seems completely ridiculous to do in the dead of June when you're doing a college sports show. What is there to be outraged about? But, yeah, I don't know. A chord has been struck with me. I don't know why. I'm going to try to figure it out here. But yes, yesterday, guys, we talked about the Kaden Strayhorn thing, right? Legacy commit, son of color commentator, and former player Jason Strayhorn. He commits to Michigan. We all know the story by now. Okay, and why it never materialized here at Michigan State. Why he never got the official visit. Did or did he not have the offer? Why it didn't happen, why 2-year relationships in recruiting are important, why this is just the way Smith does things. And then a lot of comments popped up on that YouTube feed, which I greatly appreciate. There was some great dialogue, but some dialogue that fired me up. And I just don't know why this got me fired up because, look, we get comments all the time that agree and disagree with our videos and our episodes. And that's the beautiful thing here. It is always an ongoing dialogue. By and large, it is very respectful back and forth from you beautiful people. But man, maybe it's just because the casual followers or casual observers are showing outrage at this whole Strayhorn thing. And when I say casual observers, I don't mean to talk down to people. If anything, I'm very jealous of the way that people that are casual observers of football, that just follow recruiting on signing day only, or whenever a big headline like this pops up, that's a very healthy way to live. I wish I could live like that, but unfortunately, we are neck deep in the world of recruiting. So yes, maybe it's just the people that are showing outrage when really, is there that much that can really be here? Maybe it's because that, some think that I'm doing spin zone or PR work for Jonathan Smith and the program, or think that I'm tap dancing for the program. Or maybe it's just because some people didn't listen, or maybe it's just all on me. Maybe I'm upset at myself because I didn't state clearly enough what I meant yesterday when we talked about the ins and the outs and the facts of this whole saga. Or maybe it's because, hey, people were arguing whether or not they agreed with what we were saying. Because you can agree and argue with what people are saying if it's opinions. But we weren't doing opinions yesterday. This was pretty factual. So let's try this all again. When it comes to the Kaden Strayhorn saga, when it comes to why he didn't visit, when it comes to why the staff didn't pursue him, we didn't offer opinions. We did not offer spin zone. We did not offer anything but the facts. And we backed it up with taking history, with numbers from Smith and his staff and how they recruit. So fact number one, ladies and gentlemen, Smith and Jim Maholchek, the offensive line coach, didn't not pursue Kaden Strayhorn just because they're lazy, or just because they're scared, or just because they didn't know any better, or they didn't know what they were doing. We saw a lot of comments like, oh, this is unacceptable for Smith, or oh, this is such a bad look for Jonathan Smith. How can you let him get away? Okay, well, as if Smith hasn't shown you how intentional he is with roster building and recruiting so far this entire offseason. Here's one other fact that we do know. This is based on people that I've talked with, and also take it from the horse's mouth. Kaden Strahorn and Jason Strayhorn said this as much in the Spartans Illustrated piece with David Hards, that there was one phone call with the staff, one phone call with Jim Maholchek. Now, either something happened during it or after it where the staff realized either A, They're very far behind the 8 ball from all the other schools that have been in his ear for months, if not years now at this point. We talked about the importance of 2-year relationships on this show yesterday. More on that in a little bit. Or B, perhaps the fit isn't there with Strayhorn and Michigan State. So it's either A, Smith didn't think that they could get him, that they were so far behind the other schools that why waste the resources, or B, maybe they just didn't want him. And I know that might sound crazy. I know that a lot of people say, hey, Strayhorn, he's a 4-star kid. Well, like, if you're going to look at the rankings, and this is the rankings, not my words, it's been going down every time they do a reevaluation. So maybe they like the guys that they've had relationships with prior. Guys like Darius Afalava, Houston Torres, Drew Nichols, who they just got to commit from. Maybe they didn't meet each other's eye on that one. So fact number 2, here we go. These are going to be a lot of the same numbers as yesterday. Fact number 2, Smith has shown he pursues players he knows he has a shot with. So let's say it was the first reason of why they never continued the conversations or never got him on for an official visit, because Smith and Jim Maholchek thought that there was way too much work to be done to even make up the ground that the other schools have given, that there's really not a chance. Guys, let's go to June 2022 right here in East Lansing for Mel Tucker's 2023 class, his last class here at Michigan State. In the month of June, 38 official visitors came to campus. Just 7 of them committed or were committed by the time they visited. Now let's go and see what Jonathan Smith does in the month of June. Let's see how intentional he is with official visits. Mel Tucker, he went 7 of 38, okay? So far in June right now under Jonathan Smith, he's had 27 June official visits in this month. 10 of them were commits or eventually committed. Guys, by the time you might even be hearing this right now, that number is going to grow later this week. All right, in 2023 at Oregon State, in the month of June, 27 visits. 14 of those were commits or eventual commits. That is over half the official visits. I am painting a picture to try to show you that Jonathan Smith is deliberate and intentional with who he has on campus. Okay, if he doesn't think that there is a good shot of getting a kid, point blank, they will not be coming to campus. That could be the feeling of what they had with Strayhorn. I know that they said that, they were scared to recruit me. Maybe it's just smart. Also, let's just throw one more year out there. 2022 at Oregon State, they had 28 visits in the month of June. 11 of those were commits or eventually committed. So you can disagree with the strategy. Like, you might be able to, say that, hey, he needs to take more chances no matter how remote they are. But I am telling you, this is a fact. This is how he does things. Not just this year. I'm not just saying it all willy-nilly with nothing to back it up. There is a track record that backs up how deliberate he is with official visits. Programs are only allotted, I think it's 56 official visits per year. That's not really talked about a lot, is that D1 programs can't just host 200 official visits in a given year. Like, you do have a certain allotment per year, and those also have to be used for transfer official visits too. Gee, I don't know. Does Jonathan Smith like to use the transfer portal on a necessity? Does he want to have some official visits for transfer portal kids in the future? Yeah. So why burn one up on a kid that you don't think you can get and just focus on kids that you think you have a legitimate shot of getting? So fact number 3 is yes, guys. In a hypothetical world, let's just do this right now. This is just to prove to you that, I'm just not laissez-faire with everything that goes on against Michigan State's way so far. Fact number 3 is I would be a tad more upset going elsewhere, especially Michigan, if the Mel Tucker staff were still here, right? If it was a staff that had an ongoing relationship with him for the last few years. Or if you want to go crazy hypothetical, I'd be upset too if, Smith has been here for 2 years to build that relationship. And they actually did like the kid enough to give him an offer and official visits. But guys, 2-year relationships are a thing in recruiting, whether you want to believe it or not. And yes, of course, that's not the end all be all with every kid. You can make relationships with them in 1 year. But when it comes to high level recruiting, 4 stars, 5 stars, if you haven't been with that kid and building a relationship for 2 years, even if they are a legacy recruit, there's a long way to go. Guys like Darius Afalava, who visited earlier this year, that's a 2+ year relationship with Jim Maholchek. Drew Nichols out of California, he commits to Michigan State. That's a 2+ relationship with Jim Maholchek. Also, I saw a comment that, well, okay, great about the 2-year relationship. Well, Houston Torres is trying to go to Nebraska. So who cares if Jim Maholchek had a 2+ year relationship? Okay, when it comes to Houston Torres, Nebraska was his 3rd Power 4 offer in 2022. He's been with Nebraska for a very long time, with that staff for a very long time. So that just kind of proves my point, is that, yes, Michigan State might lose Houston Torres, but they're going to do it to a school that's had a long relationship with him. I'm not just making this up. I'm not just going all willy-nilly, just blindly believe what I'm saying because go green and I love Jonathan Smith. No, this is factual, guys. I know that there's some hard truths to this. It's a lot to understand, especially for the people that don't just follow recruiting super deep. And again, I envy you people. Covering recruiting is ridiculous, if I could be honest about it. But fact number 4, and this might be the real upsetting part for a lot of State fans out there, and it's upsetting to say for me. I'm not going to have a good time saying this, but fact number 4 is, guys, MSU has some work to do. I'm not trying to tell you that everything is going great right now. Do I believe that there are some diamonds in the rough in this class? Absolutely. We're about to talk to one in the next 2 segments here in Charles White. But I'm telling you why things are going the way they are right now. I'm seeing what you're seeing. I'm seeing a class full of all 3 stars, okay? And I want what you want too. I want the eventual 4-star to visit campus. I want them to commit to Michigan State. I get it, guys. But we are coming off of back-to-back bowl gameless seasons, okay? We are in the shadows right now of the Michigans, the Ohio States, the Oregons now of the world, the Penn States. There is work to be done here in East Lansing, all with a new staff that has to make inroads regionally. But while we wait for things to get a little better, while we wait for the wins to keep piling up, and therefore the higher rated 3 stars or 4 stars to keep coming to campus, we have a top 30 class from 2024, okay? A lot of that, former Oregon State commits because, well, that's who they had relationships with the longest. We've had a really sound transfer portal haul this offseason and a history that showed it worked at Oregon State. He knows how to rebuild. I don't think that Jonathan Smith is ignoring guys like Kaden Strayhorn for no good reason. He's resourceful, he's deliberate, he's intentional. Whether you like it or not, you can debate on that. But what is not up for debate is why this all happened. I am telling you that is why it happened. Could there be more outside stuff of did he really have the offer, did he not? Sure, again, depends who you talk to. I don't really care to get into all that, because Jonathan Smith is showing his hand of what he does in recruiting. So I'm sorry to yell. I'm sorry to get fired up. I'm sorry to get passionate, especially on such a beautiful summer day. But like, oh God, you're just doing PR work. No, I'm giving you numbers and facts. I'm trying to teach you about how Jonathan Smith does things around here. All right, I'm sorry for trying to do my job properly. Anyway, hey, we're going to get a much more mild-mannered person on the show here in a little bit. It's 2025 linebacker commit Charles White. But first, need to talk your ears off about the Gametime app. Folks, I absolutely love the Gametime app, and I'm just going to shoot you straight to the point here. It's because of how much money they save me. Whether it's the flash deals throughout the week, whether it's the last-minute deals that lead up to the first pitch of the game or the first song of the concert, you can score great deals from a week in advance, 2 weeks in advance, to like 2 minutes before the event. Also, I love how transparent Gametime is. This isn't one of the sites where, oh, hey, great, these tickets are $8. Click, 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 click. All right, I'm finally at the finish line, and oh my God, there's $68 worth of fees. What is this all about? No. They keep it simple. They keep it honest over at Gametime, and they also want to save you money right off the bat. Folks, download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. It's last-minute tickets. Lowest prices guaranteed. We're talking one of the early offers, one of the early commits of the 2025 class. We are talking to 2025 linebacker out of Orchard Lake, St. Mary's, DJ White. DJ, how on earth are you doing, man? Thanks a lot for joining the show.
Oh, yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for having me out here.
So let's get down to the hardest question right off the bat. Over there at St. Mary's, you guys have that awesome red turf field. So this is the question on top of everyone's mind. How long of an adjustment period will this be from going to playing on a red field to playing on a green field in East Lansing, and did that come across your mind before you committed to Michigan State?
I really didn't cross my mind because
Okay.
I always played on the green grass. We didn't play it in some snow back when I was younger. So going from red turf to green is not gonna be that big of a switch for me. Other difference, but you know,
The red does make you look faster, though. I gotta say, like that field pops over there. So no, love what you guys doing over there at St. Mary's, especially this year's recruiting class. We'll get into some of your current teammates that are either already committed or might be committed soon later this chat. But let's make this start about you, because when the staff took over very early on, you got that offer. You were one of the first offers that this staff gave. Just talk about that process. Just your first thoughts when you did get that offer very early on from these guys.
So yeah, I think they started off great, especially picking me. They were my second offer that I had. My first offer was Boston College.
Okay.
I was school dance, and Coach Smith ended up calling me, and basically saying he watched my film, and honestly, I really know too much about state. I knew a lot, like watching wise, but like not on campus, So when he offered me, I was overly excited because I grew up watching Michigan State. So I think that was a great start.
And during your, recruiting process, whenever you would visit, this is from the Spartans Illustrated story that they had on your commitment, is that you texted your coach, Jermaine Gonzalez, over there at Orchard Lake St. Mary's, that this is where you wanted to be. I mean, how much of a role did he have in this recruiting process?
Coach Gonzalez had like a major part to do with it, because he'd get the coaches, would come up. Just thought through the whole recruiting process. Him and Coach Dixon, which is really our recruiting coordinator, creating profiles, sending profiles out, breaking down our film. And when coaches come in the office, he sets it up on the big screen, gives us a rundown. It got your GPA, your email, number, offers, achievements. So they do a real good job with that.
I was going to say, they profile you guys right over there. That's what I'm talking about. Was it hard for him, though? Because Coach Gonzalez, he played at the school down the road. He played at Michigan. Did he tried to talk you out of this at any point in time here, or is he pretty cool about it the whole way through?
So Coach, especially recently, Coach been like, he was telling us like, man, they recruiting my kids over there. So, it don't really affect him a lot. He loved Michigan State, even though he's a Michigan guy, but he's like, hey, they recruiting my kids over there. So, he's like, that's my choice.
There we go. That's A1 support right there. That's what I'm talking about. So when you made those unofficial visits and eventually the official visit, of course, what was it about MSU that had you texting Coach Gonzalez that, yeah, this is the place for me here?
I think it was the spring ball game visit or spring practice. It was spring practice. And, I was just walking around and I was talking with Aiden Reynolds, QB. I was talking with Dylan Tatum, safety. Those guys, like we talked like, when we were talking, it felt like I knew them for a long time already. And then we went out to the stadium, and I'm walking around, I'm looking around, and something just clicked in my heart. Was like, this is where you need to go. Especially me being up there 3 more times before that. I'm like, yeah, it's hard for me to get to other colleges, but I can get to Michigan State like that. So I was like, I played a big factor, and I was on the field, and I looked up and I seen the Spartans logo, and I texted Coach like, hey, this is it.
That's what I'm talking about. So did you grow up a State fan, or did you have a favorite college, or what was that like growing up?
Yeah, I grew up a State fan for a period of time. As I got older, I kind of let it drop. I wasn't more of any college type guy.
Yeah, and I was going to say, because like growing up, I was a State fan through and through, but if you're as athletic as you are, if you have the opportunities ahead of you, like, do you feel like you just kind of got to drop the fandom just so you don't have any emotional ties to any school before you take all these visits?
Yeah, so I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it. I was more of a, I got to get to one of those type of schools.
Yeah.
So when I got to high school and kind of like 7th, 8th grade, I didn't have no favorite college. I didn't have no dream college. I was like, I just got to get to college, no matter where.
And you're going to be under good hands, it seems like, with Joe Rossi. What was it like, building a relationship with him? Was it always family first? Was it talking football first? Or what would you guys talk about in those early stages before you even committed to Michigan State?
So I know when we first started talking, Coach Rossi, when I started talking with Coach Rossi, we were talking about, film and grades and, more football stuff. And then once, we got to that point where I think he kind of felt like I was, getting ready to, drop the bomb. We started talking more about family, but me and Coach Rossi since January, we always, we kind of set football aside for a moment. We talk about family. Me and Coach Rossi have this bowling battle that who can bowl the highest numbers.
Okay.
That's one of our big things, bowling. So yeah, that's us with Coach Rossi.
Well, let's drop the numbers. Like, where are you guys at right now? Who's got the highest one?
Well, I think Coach Rossi highest was, I think I'm not sure, but recently on my official visit, we both bowled a 98. We're kind of low at bad games, but I mean tied up. Neither one of us can talk, so.
We'll take that. That's what I'm talking about. We'll be watching that battle as the years go on here. But I need you to fact check something for me because, look, I'm just a guy with a webcam, a microphone, and I see what I see. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. But when I'm watching your tape over at Orchard Lake St. Mary's, when I'm watching what Joe Rossi did over at Minnesota, I'm thinking these seem like pretty similar defenses here. Obviously, the college one is a little more intricate. But, is that kind of, what you're seeing too? Two similar defenses?
So, funny story, it actually is the same defense. We kind of everything that we did from my sophomore year to my junior year was kind of running behind them. My sophomore year, our defensive coordinator, Dan Gaisling, he was, every time we watched film, we would watch Minnesota. And that's where we got this from. That's where we got, running our coverages from. So when Coach Rossi got to state and he was, telling me how everything was, and I'm listening and I'm like, man, Coach, we run the same exact thing. We call it the same exact thing.
Wow.
So staying in the factor.
That's amazing. Okay, so pretty spot on there. That's what I'm talking about. And here's a question that kind of gets more confusing as football evolves because there's no more, I feel like, traditional linebacker spot anymore. It's either, all right, you're this edge rush guy, you're the pass coverage linebacker, you're this run stopping A gap linebacker. So, DJ, what linebacker are you? Because I'm seeing pass coverage out there, but I have your ear. What kind of linebacker are you going to be on the field?
I think I still say I'm underrated linebacker because I can play all three. Safety my sophomore year, linebacker this year. If you look at my film, there's sometimes I'm up on the D line sacking the quarterback. There's sometimes on the pass drop it, getting a PBU. There's sometimes you see me drive back to where the safety is. So I pretty much can play all three.
I was just going to bring that up too because you did play in the secondary early on in your career. Which one did you enjoy more, playing in the secondary back of the safety, or do you like being up towards the line at that linebacker spot?
I like being in the box, man. Team calls me a crash out. I like hitting running backs. That's my thing because, running backs, they're these big, fast guys. And me personally, there's no better way to put it than this guy hitting a running back like the way I do.
Right.
So I like being a linebacker.
So ahead of your senior season, what is there left to still improve in your game? What's going to be the biggest focus as you go into your senior year here?
My biggest focus is to bring my team up. Me making plays, me doing this, me doing that. Hey, okay. But if my team can if we all can get on the same page as a defense and become unstoppable, that would finish me off for my senior season. I just want our defense to be one of the top defenses in the state. So, every time we go to practice, it's not about me. This senior year for me, I've done my part. It's not about me anymore. It's about my team. That's how I feel about it.
And you guys are, due for a great season ahead. I mean, not just you, not just Jaden Savory, but also you guys could have 4, not just D1 commits, but Power 4 football commits. What are the expectations for your senior season? Are you guys able to keep them somewhat low, or what is the chatter with you guys this off season?
So our off season, basically, trying to start by getting all 4. With Antonio Johnson and Bryson Williams, but we don't really. Me and Jaden, we don't really sit our bodies we're Michigan State commits. This is what we're gonna do. Me and Jaden, we're team players. We player-led teams win championships is what our coach tells us all the time. So we kind of set what we've done apart and try to make it to where the team is all said and done. That's kind of our thing.
And let's talk about Jaden too for a little bit. He just committed a few days ago. How long did you know that he was going to go with the green and white here? Was the cat out of the bag early on for you, or were you with the rest of us and you found out the same time as we did?
I think I found out maybe a day before everybody else did. I was, with Jaden, when picking up pieces where he was going. And then after his official, I kind of seen his smile and his brightness go up. And somewhere in my head, I'm like, something about that official turned his head. And then I seen his commitment date, and I'm like, man, he just went on this official. He hasn't been nowhere else. I know where he's going.
There we go. Kind of read the tea leaves right there. And you know what? Let's jump to your official visit here because you also were there the same weekend as other linebacker, Damari Malone. Did you know him before he committed or before you guys started visiting Michigan State? Because Metro Detroit, it's not like you guys are neighbors, but in the same area. Did you guys ever run into each other before this year?
And DeMar played against each other in week 9. They ended up putting us. We had to win that game to go to the playoffs. We ended up losing that game, sadly. During the offseason, I played with Damari for 7-on-7 with Sama and Somebody. So I kind of knew Damari, little bits and pieces about Damari coming up until when he committed and we went on our official. I texted him before our official, like, hey, man, you ready to have some fun? And he's like, yeah, I'm ready. And that Thursday night, he ended up coming in the room. We ended up sitting down and chatting a little bit, watching the NBA Finals. So, I mean.
What kind of a linebacker is he like? Like, what makes you guys different on the field?
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure he's a very explosive player. I can tell by his build, he's very explosive. I can tell by he's very quick. But I have no idea. I've never watched his film. I mean, I've watched a little bits and pieces of it, but he can intercept the ball. He can read his keys really well. And, I like Damari. That's my guy.
And who else is out there to recruit for you? Let's put you on the recruiting staff right now. Is there anyone out there that you're hitting hard, whether it's your Orchard Lake St. Mary's teammates, or is there anyone else out there that you're trying to blow their phone up?
Yeah, so right now we're trying to get this kid from Howell. He's currently committed to Michigan, but I think he's coming up for a visit. I think Bobby Kanka.
Yep.
That's one of my biggest guys right now. They made it my project, so we're trying to get.
There we go. So the staff assigned you this. They said, hey, Kanka is yours. You got to go get this fish for us. All right. I love it. There we go. During your official visit, though, because, we've been hearing bits and pieces about, like, what's been going on. Bowling, like you mentioned, some mini golf. Like, what are other events that have been going on your official visit that you appreciated and took the most out of?
I got we went go-karting. I went with Jaden Hall, Aiden Reynolds, Brady. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. But
Pretzloff, I believe. Yeah.
Backer. Yeah. We went with the twins. All of us, we went out to go-karting, and they had axe throwing. They had airsoft. So we had a lot of fun with those guys. And, those guys make it feel like home for me. Throughout the whole official visit, we had a gel blaster war, and I teamed up with those guys, was chilling with Aiden. And I think Aiden and Jay Hall played a big part of my official visit. They made me feel like like a brother to them. So I had a lot of fun with those guys.
So we've done a lot of building up so far this interview, talk about what people do best. Let's go the opposite way. Who's the worst go-karter out there? Like who just could not handle the track whatsoever?
I'm not sure. I was in the front.
That's what I'm talking about. There we go.
It was me and Big Chuck. We both had the top 2 fastest laps. So I don't know who was in the back. I couldn't see.
Whenever I hear about the Lenieski twins, or I've had like a very brief encounter with them on campus, they just seem like the happiest, just greatest people to be around. Is that kind of the vibe that you got too? Like, do they need to be around every recruit at every official visit, in your opinion?
Me personally, I think they do. They give off a different type of energy for fun wise than anybody else, because I think they see what Michigan State's trying to do, and they give off a lot of happiness and joy. They make me laugh every once in a while. So, I love those guys too.
There we go. And then all the way up to the coaching staff, Jonathan Smith, Joe Rossi. Who on that visit did you get the most FaceTime with? Was it just as simple as the defensive coordinator, or was it someone else in the visit?
So my official visit, I spent a lot of FaceTime with Coach Rossi and Coach Smith, which is, crazy. Coach Gordon. And then I had my main guy was Coach Brisley. So the grad assistants seem to be getting a lot of love, not just from you, but like a lot of others. So they got a pretty big hand in all these official visits. Wait, sorry, read that.
No, that's fine. It seems like they have a really big hand in all these official visits, these graduate assistants.
Yeah. A lot of kids, if you look at it, a lot of kids are committed after official visits. Like, these official visits are amazing. Me personally, I think they might be one of the best official visits that I've ever seen. Like, you're eating almost every 3 hours, and between those 3 hours, you're doing an activity to where the point you forget about it, and they'd be like, "Hey, we about to go to lunch," and you'd be like, "Man, I'm still full from breakfast." So they do a very good job with their visits.
There we go. And last question we'll leave you with here, but I know you still got the whole senior season ahead of you. One thing you're looking forward to the most when you finally do arrive to East Lansing in college?
I'm looking for education. Football is not going to be there forever. So I'm looking, find a good major and a good minor so I can get my degree and, proceed with my life. Because, football, like I said, football is not going to be there forever. You never know when it's going to be your last day playing football. But that degree that you can have at Michigan State, that's going to carry on a lifetime.
Already mature and wise beyond your years. I never even got to that point when I was a teen. Heck, I'm barely even at that point right now. So that's what I'm talking about. That's a great hat on the shoulders right there, DJ. Anything else you want to shout out or leave us with before we let you go enjoy the rest of your week here?
I just want to shout out my mom and my dad, my parents. I love y'all.
That's what I'm talking about. And folks, viewers, the listeners, I love you guys too. You guys are great. DJ, good luck this upcoming season. Hope it's a great summer leading up to your senior year. And hey, can't wait to see you on the field in the green and white. But folks, until next time, you know where to keep it tuned. Locked on Spartans. Until then, go green.
Go white.